Hello and welcome. I would like to thank you for your time today to watch this very powerful presentation. What you will see in here is a simple program that allows you to introduce a vehicle to various businesses to have access to multiple lenders. It's a multi-trillion-dollar business that pays producers and does not require a license. Here's the problem. According to Forbes magazine in June of 2014, depending on which survey you read, as few as 10% of small businesses will get a small business loan at the local bank. Nevertheless, that's the first place they will go because many of them do not know about the myriad of options available to solve their specific needs for capital to fuel growth, fund working capital, or even facilitate capital improvement. So what's the solution? It's the Freedom Equity Group lending platform connecting business borrowers to over 3,500 lenders. The FEG lending platform provides borrowers exposure to business lending sources they would normally not be exposed to. We have over 3,500 lenders assisting startups and growing businesses by helping them to increase efficiency, getting more clients funded, higher funded amounts, and competing lenders now mean better terms. We have funding for all types of businesses: startups, working capital, installment loans, SBA lending, leasing, factoring, purchase orders, real estate, private capital, and many others. We also provide unsecured lending. We work to find financing for a company regardless of the industry, time in business, credit score, or most other reasons they may have been declined before. We have more than 40 types of business loans: credit lending, equipment financing, asset-based lending, real estate lending. Our lenders include large banks, small banks, private lenders, as well as specialty lenders. There is no fee for our services. The borrower negotiates for the best terms in the pricing. We have over 40 different types of loans available, and depending on the type and size of loan, funding will generally take anywhere from 3 days to 6 weeks. How does it work? The requirements of 3,500 plus approved and verified lenders are sitting in the lending database. The business information and needs are input into a simple online questionnaire that takes approximately 10 to 15 minutes. No documentation is required upon submission. Our unique proprietary software will match lenders with the business borrowing needs. Up to 3 to 5 lenders will contact the company directly to discuss their needs. With multiple lenders, a borrower can now negotiate for the best terms. The benefits to the borrower: it assists them in growing their business, it fulfills their business and operational goals, and like I said, a simple questionnaire that requires only 10 to 15 minutes to complete. And it's an opportunity to connect businesses with multiple lenders that see their vision and dreams for their business. The benefits to you: you have the ability to assist owners in growing their business and achieving their operational goals. And it's a great door opener to speak with business owners about cross-selling additional products. It's a simple process that does not require a license. It's a quick and easy way to augment your income by being paid a portion of the fees paid by the lender. We call it diversification without distraction. There is many opportunities to market this product. You have the local Chamber of Commerce groups that support a lot of their local small businesses. A lot of those small businesses can utilize this platform to enhance their working capital needs. You have commercial real estate agents, various associations such as unions, minority business programs. You also have local banks. They're a great resource for customers that are declined on their loan requests based on the underwriting guidelines used by the local bank. They are also a great resource for local banks for individual customers that they are working with that have underperforming loans. So it gives the bank the opportunity to reach out to their customer to show them an additional option by using the lending platform. CPAs and attorneys are a great resource. CPAs work with a variety of small businesses, and they are definitely approached by their clients on their needs for additional working capital. Local free advertising, such as Craigslist. and local merchant bank service providers. They're providing merchant bank services to a variety of small businesses. This is an opportunity for them to cross-sell opportunities for their small business owners to help them, again, achieve working capital needs. How does the questionnaire process work? Well, when someone joins the Freedom Equity Group lending platform, they are provided a funding portal. The individual will log in. Once they get a username and password, they would log in here at this corner here. And once they go into their back office, they would be in a position to have this as their opening worksheet. Anytime they have a new business, they would click on this icon on the right side called New Questionnaire, and they would be given an ID with an icon for that specific new particular client questionnaire. Over to the left side here, there's a help section, and in the help section, there are a variety of facts and videos and to show you how the actual questionnaire process works. But what I'd like to do is take you through what a questionnaire looks like. Like I said, when you have a client that needs to have additional funding, what you would do is click on the icon called New Questionnaire. You would be given a questionnaire, and it will be set up with this ID number. You click on that ID number, and you would get a questionnaire on the first page, which will show at the top 4 sections that have to be complete in full. One is the personal profile. Second is the business profile. Third is the business questions. And the fourth are the loan questions. The last icon here is basically when all the questions are complete, you would have the ability to review the questionnaire and then submit it. On the personal profile, the first 4 lines you would complete is the full name of the individual, of the business owner, their email, their primary phone number, and the phone type. You have the option to click on the icon here that says Send Questionnaire to Client. And what will happen is that this full questionnaire, which is made up of approximately 15 to 20 questions, would be sent directly to the email that you provided for that small business owner. And then they would get this questionnaire and they would complete these 4 sections of the questionnaire. I would highly recommend that you would take the time to fill out the 15 to 20 questions yourself, and then you would be able to review and submit it. This will ensure that this questionnaire is complete and is submitted under the lending platform. So let's go through the personal profile. Not only will you fill out these 4 lines, you go to the bottom section of the first section of the personal profile, you fill out their address, their date of birth, their personal credit score. It's a drop-down menu, and it has a range of credit scores. They ask the question if the individual has filed for bankruptcy in the last 7 years. It's a yes or no. Then they ask the question, yes or no, are you interested in learning more on how to improve your personal credit profile? Because the lending platform provides services if they need that service. When this is complete, you have now completed the personal profile. You hit the icon Next, and you go to the business profile. At this point, you're going to fill out all the questions related to the business profile, which would include the business name, phone, their address, the type of business to drop down, be a C Corp, S Corp, LLC. The next is the industry. There's a variety of industries on the drop down, such as manufacturing, distribution, retail, nonprofit. The next question, business start date. The individual would identify their start date of their business. Then the time in business, a drop down. It will have a range there that you select the one that best fits their profile. Current ownership since date, they identify their ownership date. The number of employees. And then, are you interested in learning how to improve your business credit profile? And again, they provide service for that as well. That's a simple yes or no answer. Once that's complete, you go to the next section, which are the business questions. Now, the business question profile is all drop-downs, where we'll ask, what's the company's total revenue last year? And again, on this drop down, we'll have a range, 0 to 250, 250 to 500, etc. It'll go down, all the way down. You select the one that best fits the profile of that business. What was your company's total revenues over the last 12 months? What was your company's average monthly sales? Your company's total revenue year to date? Company's total profits? What's your monthly volume of credit card sales? What is your primary customer's transaction type? Your B2B, B2C being business to customer, or B2G being business to government? What is your current total amount of accounts receivable aging? Again, these are all drop-down questions. They're trying to get a good understanding of your business. Second half of this section, do you have any collateral available? And they'll ask you to identify the type of collateral. If you have the collateral, how much is the value? And again, range of dollar value. What was your total company's profit for the prior year? Your company's monthly debt payments, mortgage, rent, leases, loans, etc. Do you have an in-force insurance policy to pay off all your business debt in the event of something unforeseen happening? Just a yes or no. What percent of the business do you own? Please supply me a free business continuation analysis, yes or no. When that is complete, you hit next. Now you're going into the loan questions. How much are you seeking in financing? So what we'll have here is a drop down on a range of dollars. So you identify the dollar amount that that particular business is looking for. When do you need the financing? And in this section, we'll have a variety of options saying, do you need the money immediately, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months? Again, answer the questions. Every question has to be complete. Now, on the bottom of the loan questions, it'll ask you to identify for that business owner the type of a loan that they would like to have. You can only check up to a maximum of 3. Not 3 in one section, but 3 in the entire listing. So if the person needs equipment financing, you would check off the appropriate financing options. Asset-based lending, again, identify the appropriate options. Then it has real estate lending and credit lending. And as you can see here on the credit lending, it has some specialty lending like buying out a partner, a doctor loan, expansion financing, acquisition funding. They even have SBA microloans. Again, pick no more than 3 that best fit your client's needs. Once these are all complete, what you'll have is a section on the bottom of the loan type is that this is what I would highly recommend is tell your story about the business and the purpose of the funding. Put as much information in this area that will be helpful for the lenders to review. This information should include a little profile of the business, some of the issues that are facing that business, and the purpose of the funding. Once this is complete, you hit next, and you've completed all the questions. Now, if you have not completed all of the questions for each individual section, as you can see here in the red, it'll identify the number of questions still open in that section. Again, all of these questions, this should be completely blank. All questions have to be complete before you can hit the review and submit button. Again, if there's an answer here that or any of the questions are unanswered, there'll be a number in red identified on how many questions still have not been answered in that section. Once complete, you'll be able to review the full questionnaire, and then once complete, you can then submit it to the lending platform. Once it's submitted, you have the ability to check on the status of that particular loan questionnaire. What this is a snapshot. They have a variety of categories pertaining to that particular questionnaire. Once submitted and lenders put their hand up and say that they want to review that particular loan questionnaire, you will see that this is set up where you got lender review and contacted. As it's in green, being in this case here, some lenders have started a review on the questionnaire, and in this case here, the second lender has contacted that particular business owner. So what you will see, and as this questionnaire is progressing through its status, you will be able to check on it all the way through the info gathering to in underwriting, if a loan offer is made, and if it's going through funding. So this is what they call the deal room. So you'll get to see the progress on every questionnaire. And again, your involvement after submitting the questionnaire is zero involvement. All the contact will be made from the lender directly to the company that's doing the borrowing. Compensation opportunity. How you get paid. Here's an example. There was a $500,000 commercial term loan. The rates and terms are agreed upon between the lender and the borrower. If the borrower agrees to obtain the $500,000 commercial term loan, the fee will be paid by the lender to the lending platform. In this case, we'll use as an example 2%. 2% of the $500,000 being $10,000 is paid to the lending platform. Of that $10,000, 50% is paid to Freedom Equity Group's lending platform. That $5,000 is then shared with us as being part of the provider of that customer or that borrower filling out that questionnaire. So let's use an example here. Compensation, example 1, compensation from your own loan questionnaire submissions that are funded by a lender. So using that example of $5,000, anyone coming into the lending platform starts off at 20%. So 20% of that $5,000 would be paid on each individual deal. So in this case, if you submitted 2 deals a month that yielded a $5,000 commission to Freedom Equity Group, you would get a 20% commission off of the $5,000, which would be, in this case, 2 deals, be $2,000. If you did 2 deals a month, it would yield you a $24,000 compensation for the year. Now, as you submit more and more loans and the compensation level increases, Freedom Equity Group will elevate you from the 20% to the 22% commission to the 24% commission up to a 40% commission, which is a vice president level. So let's take it another step. The beauty of the compensation system for Freedom Equity Group's lending platform is it allows you to develop in what we call team building compensation by the introduction of the lending program to others to benefit from a multi-pay system. So in this case here, if you were pushing through enough loans that you went from the 20 to the 22 to 24, moved yourself all the way up to the 40%, which is at a vice president level, and you continue to put 2 deals in a month that yielded a $5,000 commission to Freedom Equity Group, you would share 40% of that commission. 2 deals, 40% would yield you a $4,000 monthly compensation, which on an annualized basis would be $48,000. But let's say you brought others into the lending platform and you had one person at 20%, another person that elevated up to the 22% level, and then another person at 24%, and each of those 3 people put 2 deals in per month, would yield you an override of an additional level of compensation, which would bring you now up to approximately $113,000 for the year. And again, that's based on 8 deals a month. You still only doing 2 deals, but it would result in a compensation level of $113,000 because your volume has created you and put you into a position where you would be at a VP level. So now let's take this one step further. If your business has been growing and you're, again, compounding your efforts by others growing into your team, and let's say you had those same deals, 2 deals you put in, plus you had 1 at 20, 1 at 22, 1 at 24, you now have, again, those same 8 deals would yield you $113,000. But let's say you had an individual within your team that grew to a 40% level, which would be considered your first generation vice president. That first generation vice president also did 8 deals a month with his team or her team, would yield you $3,200 per month or an additional $38,000 a year, which now brings your compensation up to over $150,000. Again, that is just you still only doing 2 deals, but because you introduced it to multiple people, and they have now put loan questionnaires in that have been submitted and been funded, you now increase, as you're building your team, you are now creating more compensation for yourself. Again, you only did 2 deals. The other 14 deals were done by others, so you have collected a nice override. Now, as you can see, if you brought in if that person that was your VP had another VP, you get overrides that will go further down the chart. So you really have an opportunity to grow this business opportunity for yourself to grow your compensation the more you add to the funding platform. Again, these are examples only, and income levels vary by each individual transaction. I would like to thank you for your time to learn more about how you can become part of our team. Please complete the appointment form on this page, and someone will contact you about how you can become part of this great opportunity with the Freedom Equity Group lending platform. Thank you.